Welcome, everyone. Today we learn the success story of Mark Zuckerberg. Mark Zuckerberg's name is now synonymous with success, innovation, and the power of a single idea. But what many don't see behind the polished interviews and billion-dollar ventures is a story of struggle, risk, and persistence that every dreamer can learn from. For the young individuals grappling with failure or fear of not being enough, Mark's journey stands as a glowing testament to what's possible when you embrace your vision, learn from mistakes, and keep moving forward. Born in 1984 in White Plains, New York, Mark was not raised in Silicon Valley or any tech mecca. He was the son of a dentist and a psychiatrist, growing up in the suburbs, just like millions of other kids. From a young age, he had a curious mind and a deep fascination with computers. His father recognized this early on and even hired a private tutor to help nurture Mark's programming skills when he was still in middle school. But even then, Mark was never the loudest kid in the room. He was often described as reserved, introverted, and intensely focused, traits that many might mistake as disadvantages in a world obsessed with extroversion and showmanship. As a teenager, Mark created a music app called Synapse that caught the attention of giants like Microsoft and AOL. They offered him large sums of money and jobs, but he declined, choosing instead to continue his education. This decision, at the age of 17, was one of his first major turning points. He showed the world that he wasn't chasing money, he was chasing purpose. Mark enrolled at Harvard University in 2002, where the seeds of what would become Facebook began to take root. He initially created programs that were fun and innovative, like Course Match, which helped students choose classes based on their peers' schedules, and FaceMash, a controversial site that compared students' photos. While FaceMash was shut down by the university and labeled inappropriate, it revealed something essential. People had an appetite for connecting digitally. It also brought Mark under scrutiny. He faced criticism, ethical questions, and administrative pushback. For someone young and ambitious, this could have been a reason to step back, to stop experimenting. But Mark didn't stop. Instead, he absorbed the lesson, refined his approach, and pressed on with a deeper understanding of what he wanted to build. On February 4th, 2004, in his Harvard dorm room, Mark launched the Facebook. It began as a college networking site, but its potential was immediately clear. Students signed up in droves. The idea was simple but powerful, an online platform where people could connect with friends, share their lives, and stay updated. In a time when social media barely existed, this was revolutionary. However, success did not arrive without setbacks. As Facebook grew, Mark faced accusations of intellectual property theft from fellow Harvard students, a legal battle that haunted him for years. The media picked apart his decisions, his character, and his leadership. Imagine being in your early 20s, trying to build something unprecedented while defending yourself in court and facing skepticism from nearly every direction. Many in his shoes might have given up, sold their stake, or left the vision behind. But not Mark. He dropped out of Harvard and moved to Palo Alto to focus entirely on Facebook. This decision, too, was met with judgment. People questioned how he could abandon an Ivy League education for something so uncertain. But what they didn't see was his unwavering belief in what he was building. Mark understood that failures weren't the end, they were the pathway. The early days of Facebook were grueling. Long hours, constant technical problems, staff conflicts, and endless decisions that carried heavy consequences. Mark, still in his early 20s, had to grow into the role of a CEO while the world watched and criticized. He faced betrayal from early partners, had to learn business strategy on the fly, and repeatedly stepped into meetings with investors and executives who doubted his capability to run a company of such scale. But Mark didn't falter. He surrounded himself with the right people, hired those who challenged and complimented him, and most importantly, stayed rooted in his mission to make the world more open and connected. The real genius of Zuckerberg wasn't just the code he wrote, it was his resilience. His story is not just about a college dropout who became a billionaire. It's about someone who made tough decisions, fell short at times, but never let failure define him. For every viral feature Facebook released, there were ones that flopped. For every growth milestone, there were policy and ethical battles, including major data privacy scandals that shook public trust. Mark's path hasn't been flawless. There were moments when his leadership was questioned, and times when Facebook was at the center of global controversy. He testified before governments, made apologies to billions of users, and admitted his missteps. But again, instead of running from responsibility, he leaned into it. He used failures as fuel for learning. He evolved. He rebranded his company as Meta, signaling a future-looking vision beyond social media toward the metaverse and a reimagined digital world. This transformation is what makes Mark Zuckerberg's story so relevant to young people today. Not because he became rich, but because he stayed the course when it was hard. He kept going when he was doubted. He didn't let rejection, lawsuits, bad headlines, or even massive global scrutiny break him. He faced failure like a stepping stone, not a wall. So, if you're a young person today feeling lost after failure, unsure after rejection, or doubting yourself because the world hasn't caught up with your vision, remember Mark's journey. Remember that every giant leap forward starts with uncertain first steps. Every great innovation once looked like a foolish idea. Every leader once sat quietly in the back of a classroom, wondering if they were good enough. Your failures do not define you. Your response to them does. Mark Zuckerberg built an empire not because he was flawless, but because he was persistent. He believed in himself when others didn't, and most importantly, he chose to move forward every time he stumbled. That's the kind of mindset that changes the world, and maybe, just maybe, your story is next.